Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something every anime tower defense player can relate to, those painful pull rates. I mean, come on, we've all been there, right? Rolling 150 times praying to the RNG gods only to get one mythic. It's a struggle, but hey, that's why we're here today. We've got your back with the ultimate tier list to help you spend those precious summons wisely. Now, I know how tempting it is to just roll and hope for the best, but trust me, you want to be smart about it. With so many units to choose from, knowing which ones are actually worth your time and your gems is key. So, grab a snack, sit back, and let's jump into the definitive list of the best and worst units in anime tower defense. You don't want to miss this. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking units in anime tower defense. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos. Thanks.
The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Yuso, Lightspeed, Blade Master, and Gale. Alright, let's dive into the bottom of the barrel. Yes, I'm talking about the E tier units in anime tower defense. First up, we've got Yuso. Now, don't get me wrong, Yuso's stats aren't terrible, but they're far from impressive. He's kinda like that one friend who's just okay at everything but doesn't really excel in anything. You know, the one who's fine in at video games but never really helps you carry the team? That's Yuso. He's just barely better than Blade Master, but honestly, that's not saying much. Speaking of Blade Master, oh boy, where do I even begin? This guy has the lowest DPS in the game. You'll only ever consider using him if you've run out of all other options, and even then, you might as well just close the game. Then, there's Lightspeed. Sure, he's cheap to place an upgrade, but beyond that, he's kind of like buying a dollar store action figure when all your friends have the deluxe versions. And lastly, we've got Gale. Gale's got some decent DPS for a rare unit, but that's about where his strengths end. He's like the kid who shows up to a soccer game, scores one goal, and then just stands there for the rest of the match. So yeah, these E tier units, don't count on them saving the day anytime soon. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Buddha, Stretchy, Electro Slash, Annie, and Lightning Wielder. Alright, let's dive into some of the D tier units in anime tower defense. Yep, these are the ones that are, let's just say, not gonna carry your team anytime soon. First up, we have Buddha. Now, Buddha's got some range, which sounds good, right? But the problem is, he doesn't pack a punch. His DPS is just not cutting it. And in a game like this, if you're not dishing out damage, you're basically just there for decoration. So, unless you're looking to lose some rounds, Buddha is one to bench. Then, there's Stretchy, and honestly, this guy is kind of a mixed bag. On the one hand, his range and damage are pretty low, like, really low. But the one thing he's got going for him is his SPA. He's fast. So, if you're looking for a unit to spam attacks super quickly, Stretchy's your guy. Plus, you'll eventually need him for that Stretchy Orc evolution, so don't totally sleep on him just yet. Electro Slash though, this one's actually solid. For the early game, full AoE with good DPS once maxed out, sounds awesome. But the catch, she really shines only in story mode. Outside of that, she starts to fall behind. Same with Annie, decent DPS, respectable AoE, and she's a great pick when you're starting out. And don't forget Lightning Wielder, he's surprisingly decent for a rare unit. If you're low on options, he'll at least get the job done, for a while. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Swordmaster, Dragon Slayer, Shadowbolt, Veggie, and Celestial Waterbearer. Alright, let's dive into some of the C tier units in anime tower defense. These guys aren't the worst, but they're definitely not what you'd call game changers. First up, we have Swordmaster, aka Aster. He's got decent range and damage, and his seconds per attack is pretty alright. But here's the thing, when you stack him against other legendary units, he's just not cutting it. It's like showing up to a sword fight with a butter knife. He's okay, but nothing to write home about. Next, let's talk about Dragon Slayer. Now, don't be fooled by his 9 upgrades, this guy is basically a money pit. Sure, you'll be dropping tons of cash on those upgrades, thinking he's about to become a powerhouse, and then, yeah, not so much. Honestly, he's kinda bait for new players who haven't fully tested him out. If you're hoping for a dramatic power boost by the final upgrade, you might be left feeling a little, well, underwhelmed. Now, Shadowbolt. this guy's got some potential. He starts off with a nice long-range line AoE attack, and when fully upgraded, his SPA is pretty low, so he can fire off attacks pretty frequently. For early game, especially if you're just starting out, Shadow Bolt isn't a bad choice. He'll carry you for a while, but as the waves start getting crazier, you'll definitely need to swap him out for someone stronger. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Tidal Empress, Chi Master, Stretchy Sailor, Cursed Face, Serpent Fang, and Icebender. Let's dive into some of the B tier units in anime tower defense, and trust me, these are units you might be sleeping on, but they've got a lot to offer. First up, we've got Tidal Empress, a full AoE hybrid with a pretty decent DPS once you get her maxed out. Now, while she's not going to blow anyone away with raw power, her large AoE radius makes up for it. She's great for handling waves of enemies, especially if you're looking to keep things under control without relying on higher tier units. Next on the list is Chi Master, and oh man, this guy is a bit of a roller coaster. When fully upgraded, he's solid, no doubt. But here's the kicker. On placement, he's kinda bugged. His attack doesn't always connect properly, which can be a major headache. But hear me out. When you get him into the later stages, especially in infinite mode, he suddenly jumps up to A tier territory. So yeah, he's a gamble, but if you're willing to risk it, the payoff can be worth it. And then we have Stretchy Sailor and Cursed Face, who are both kind of underrated. Stretchy Sailor's got that long line AoE at max level, but his SPA is a bit slow, so you'll need to be patient. As for Cursed Face, this guy's range is wild, and his channeled attack basically makes you forget about his high SPA. He's just really strong for an epic unit and can hold his own in most situations. So, if you're in the market for some dependable mid-tier units, these guys are definitely worth considering. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Skyflame, Ocean Sentinel, Stretchy Orc, Shinobi, Tengan, Battle Frenzy, and Tide Warrior. Alright, let's dive into some of the A tier units in anime tower defense. These are the kind of units that, while maybe not the absolute best, will definitely give you the upper hand in a lot of situations. First up, we have Skyflame. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't this guy kinda weak? Well yeah, non-Evo Skyflame isn't gonna blow you away, but don't sleep on him. He's better than any legendary unit you'll come across, and when you get his evolution, he's a total game changer. So, you're gonna want to grab him early, even if he doesn't impress you right away. Trust me, it's worth the grind. Then there's Ocean Sentinel. Okay, so I'll be real with you, he's kind of a mixed bag. His range, short, SPA, also not great. His AoE, tiny. But he's got that solid base damage and hybrid targeting that kinda make up for it. So if you know how to position him right, he can still hold his own. Just maybe don't expect him to carry your team like some other mythics. Lastly, we can't forget about Shinobi, the true legend among the legendaries. Seriously, Shinobi is the kind of unit you're gonna want to keep around. Low SPA, great range, and high base damage make him a beast on the battlefield. Plus, once you evolve him, he's even better. If you're working on your team, you definitely want Shinobi in the mix, especially for his evolutions. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Psycho Wave Evo, Skyflame Evo, Curse King, Moonslayer, Psycho Wave, Shinobi, Four Tails, Berserker, Crimson Fist, Aqua Hollow, and Tidal Predator. Alright, let's dive into the S tier units in anime tower defense and break down why they're absolute powerhouses. Well, most of them at least. First up, let's talk about Psycho Wave Evo. Now, this guy is kind of a mixed bag. Sure, he's got insane DPS and range, but that tiny AoE attack, yeah, not so great. It's almost like they gave him all that power but forgot to give him a wide enough attack to really make it shine. In some situations, you might even prefer the non-Evo version, which is wild to think about. Still, if you love seeing those big numbers on the board, he's not the worst choice. Then we've got Skyflame Evo, and wow, this one's a showstopper. Maxed out, he fires this massive line AoE attack that just keeps hitting and hitting, damaging everything in its path. It's like the unit that keeps on giving. Plus, his attack lasts for several seconds, so enemies really don't stand a chance. If you're looking for a flashy, devastating attack to wipe out waves, Skyflame Evo's your guy, no question. Now Curse King, this dude is an absolute menace once he's fully upgraded. Full AoE, check. Bleed damage, check. Ridiculous range and high damage? Oh yeah, he may have a longer SPA, but it's totally made up for by the fact that his attack sticks around for a while, making him an AoE powerhouse. If you haven't added Curse King to your lineup, what are you even doing? Seriously, this guy is a must-have. Finally, let's give a shout out to Moonslayer, the low SPA king. Moonslayer's got one of the fastest attack speeds in the game, which is already a huge plus. His range and base damage aren't too shabby either. The only drawback, he's stuck with a line AoE, which doesn't always hit as many enemies as you'd like. But hey, when it comes to pure speed, Moonslayer's tough to beat. Just position him right and you'll be melting enemies like butter. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Ant King, Red Knight, Shinobi Six Tails, Quake Emperor, Cursed King Evo, Crimson Fist Evo, Moonslayer Evo, Berserker Evo, and Forest Keeper. Let's dive into the best of the best when it comes to anime tower defense. Yep, we're talking about the S+ tier units, the absolute powerhouses you need in your squad if you want to crush it out there. First up, we've got Ant King. Now, this guy doesn't mess around. He's rocking the highest base damage of all the secret units, and while his other stats might not be as flashy, his raw power puts him right at the top. If you're looking for pure damage output, Ant King's your guy. Next up, let's talk about Red Knight. This one's a full AoE unit with some really solid stats across the board. The only thing holding Red Knight back is that her range is slightly lower than some others, like Six Tails, but honestly, it's hardly noticeable when you're dealing with that much power. Full AoE means she's hitting everything in her path, and that's exactly what you want when you're overwhelmed with enemies. Speaking of full AoE, let's bring in Shinobi Six Tails. Once this unit is fully upgraded, it's one of the strongest in the game right now. Not only does it have great damage and range, but its AoE attack absolutely shreds through waves. Combine that with its secret unit status and you've got a top tier choice that can carry you through even the toughest battles. Trust me, you're going to want Six Tails in your arsenal. And last but definitely not least, I have to mention Quake Emperor. This hybrid unit has insane range and damage, and once you upgrade it to full AoE, it becomes a true game changer. Whether you're focusing on bosses or mobs, Quake Emperor is just a beast that can hit everything on the field with crazy precision. It's practically a must-have for any serious team. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.